array lists are lists that can store, or basically arrays that can store objects instead of just simple data. And the best part about array lists is you can change the number of items that are inside of it. So it allows for dynamic length. That's our review. We're gonna go into a couple of these example problems or practice problems, and yeah, you guys go, guys. I don't have to read through it, or actually I'll read through it. We're gonna create an array, right? We're gonna work with basic arrays for now, of just grades, not letter grades, number grades, and add up all those grades and find the mean average, and as clean and concise and consistent way as possible, and print that mean average. Easy enough. And then the second one is have the user input grades, right? And using the grades that they inputted, print something out. Print out the mean. Yeah, print out the mean again. So those are my example problems. You guys can go ahead and pause, and when you get back to the video, I will be doing them. So you guys are back. Wow. I hope you guys did the example problems. Now this is left over from last time. I'm just gonna scrap all of this. Alright, so the first problem. We're gonna create an array, right? Of as many grades as you want. Let's say let's do 10 of them, alright? 10. So int array, right? It's gonna store integers. Now we could use floats, it's kinda lame. We're gonna say integer my grades, right? Our class is animal tamer, but we're working with grades. Oh, alright, this is beautiful. It's gonna be a new array, right? A new integer array, which means it can store integers. Now I could say, hey, I want to store 10 grades here, right? And then say my grades of 0 equals like 90. My grades of 1 equals like 87. But because we're not deciding let's just decide, we can already decide our grades up here. We'll just create our grades up here inside of the curly brackets. We're gonna say 97 or 92. Let me just, oh wow, that is not an actual grade. Let me just stick with let me just plop in a bunch of grades. Now it doesn't matter how many, I'm gonna do more than 10. I'm gonna just start adding a bunch of numbers. And this is another reason why using the array length function is super important. I inputted a bunch of random numbers. I don't even know what the numbers are. How many numbers there are, I mean. I don't even know how many numbers there are. So, how do we add up all of them? Well, let's just declare right now a sum variable. It's going to store the sum of all those numbers. Now, to do that, we have to loop through the numbers. And we're going to start our sum at 0 because, you know, that's smart. For integer I is less than, integer I equals 0, we're going to start our counter variable at 0. Say I is less than my grades dot length. As long as it's less than the length of the array, we're going to increase I by 1 and do a bunch of stuff. Now, what's the stuff we're going to do? We're going to add to sum, we're going to increase sum by every single value in the array. So, plus equals my grades of I. Now we could have, again, sum plus equal my grades of 0, sum plus equal my grades of 1, sum plus equal my grades of 2, and do that for every single number, but that's not going to be as efficient. So we're going to loop through all of them and add every single one from 0 to how many there are to our sum variable. And if you remember what an average is, or a mean, it's, hey, add up all these numbers and divide by the total number of numbers, right? So we added all the numbers already. We have our sum. And we're going to divide. Now, the thing is, we can't use an integer anymore. Why? Because what if our number doesn't divide perfectly? What if it divides and gives you the decimal? We can't put that inside of integer because integer is only used to whole numbers. So we're going to say float's average, right, will equal sum divided by my grades dot length. Bam. And again, the reason I use a float, which is a number with the decimal, a certain number of decimal points, and it's like 32 or something, a bunch of decimal points. We're going to create an average variable that is a float, and we're going to divide the sum by the number of items that are inside my grades. And we're going to simply print out that average. Average. Let's run this. 68. Oh, it was a whole number. That's crazy. Okay. I guess we didn't need to use a float, but in case that it didn't divide perfectly, we would have had a decimal point. 68.0. That's our average. That's a very sad average, but that's okay. We will improve, alright guys? So, next step. Do the same except have the user input the grades. Now the problem with this, because we're using arrays and not array lengths, we can't ask them for any number of grades that they want. We have to, at some point, we have to cut them off and use the number that they we have to give them only a certain number of options to put it in. And so this is where declaring, hey, all grades, this is where that becomes super important. So now there is a better systematic way of doing this using for loops and stuff, but I'm gonna stick to just doing it hard coding it manually. And now what do we have to import? We have to import the scanner class. Import java.util.scanner, and now we can take in user input. So another am I tripping? Oh no, it's just lagging. Okay. So we're gonna create a new scanner object. We're gonna call it input equals new scanner system.in. All this is saying, hey, we're gonna create a new scanner which allows us to get input. We're gonna call that scanner input, and we're gonna give it system.in, which allows it to obtain basically our key values. We're gonna start off by saying system.out.println. What is your first grade, right? We're gonna copy paste and also input.get. Okay, but .next int, I think that's what it's called. .next int, right? My grades of 0 will equal input.next int, and we're basically gonna copy paste this like 5 times. Now, obviously, using a for loop, there's gonna be a lot better way to do this, but you know what? All right. We're gonna do this using a for loop. I could have just copy pasted this like 5 times and changed the index value and like first instead, but we're gonna do this using a for loop, right? Because we're gonna try to make our code as efficient as possible. If it doesn't work out, you guys can see me fail on camera. All right, I is less than my grades dot length. Now a weird thing is, even though where we declared the length here, hey, we want to put 5 things inside of here, and it puts in a bunch of null values, it actually still counts towards the length. The length is still 5, so we can use dot length here. Why is this indented funny? Did I? Okay, I'm not gonna worry about it. So we're gonna copy paste that inside there as well. Now 2 things we're gonna have to change is, hey, instead of starting it as 0, we can say, hey, do it for every I, right? Next, we have to change this. We can no longer ask them for their first grade, right? We're gonna ask them for the first, second, third, and fourth. Now, I could like have it match to an array of like first, second, third, and fourth. I could store those into a string and then use the index of those strings as like use I as the index of the strings to connect it between the two. But just for simplicity's sake, I'm gonna just add I plus 1. Yeah, I plus 1. Oh, the thing is we have to change I to a string. Huh. Alright, I'm gonna have to edit this part out, but hold on. Okay, I'm back. So, just to, okay, so, I kind of encountered a problem. Hey, I'm connecting this string to an integer to another string. I would have said, what, I plus 1, right? because it starts at 0 and we want to count normally, it would be you know, you wouldn't say what is your 0th grade. You would ask them for their 1st grade, right? And then 2nd grade and 3rd grade and 4th grade. Yeah, there's no easy way to do this, but I'm connecting all these using like plus signs, right? And there's actually a better way to do this. It's called printf, and it takes variables and stores them inside certain points in the code. But another way to convert between a string and an integer, or an integer to a string, right, is integer to string. And so this is really funky. The best way to do it is just to do this manually, and I will show you again later on what's the best way to encounter some of these problems. But for now, let's just hard code this. Let's just get these practice problems over with. All right, I'm getting tired of this. Okay, what is your what is your third grade? First one-third grade. It's 92. Now, one thing to keep in mind is I don't code this very smartly in a way that, hey, what if they don't put an integer here? What if they put a float or like a string? What if they put like poop or something? Then what do you do then, huh? So we usually in coding, we would have a lot of like fail safes, right? We would have a lot of ifs and elses. Check, hey, is what they gave us an integer? If not, we're gonna either convert it to an integer or we're gonna ask them again. But again, let me just hard code, finish this practice problem, so we can move on with our lives. And yeah, okay. 92. What is your third grade? Let's say we did really badly. We got like a 10%. 3rd grade, 98. Right, we did really well on that one. 3rd grade. Oh. Okay, it finished the code. I never went through the grades. Okay, I never went through them and added a sum. So we're going to declare a sum variable. Oh, this is going great, guys. Okay, we're going to declare a sum variable, right? And we're going to add, after the input of the grades, we're going to add to the sum variable what they gave us. My grades of I. I declare a float, an average, and that average will equal sum divided by my grades dot length. Okay, this is going great, guys. We don't have to, do we? Does this work like this? It does! Okay, we don't even have to convert between an integer and a string. Alright, you can just add strings to integers. It's the same thing, it doesn't matter. Alright. Okay, well, we're done with that practice problem. We're done with the arrays, we're done with the array lists. Even though they're so important, I went over them really badly. If you have any questions, please email me. Please contact me on Google Classroom or anything, any way you can, or on the website. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Okay, so streamers, wow, that was a rough lesson, wasn't it? Oh, geez, I need to get my act together. Okay, so okay, we're almost done, guys. 20 minutes left, and this is a 20-minute lesson, so I will go over it really quickly. Oh, geez, the other lesson that took like an hour long. Okay, I'm sorry for doing this to you guys. I'll try to limit what I say. I realize, I blabber on a lot. I repeat the same thing over and over again. I'm improving. I'm trying to improve. I hope you guys are improving as well. Oh, geez, my setup. Yeah. I need to stop making hour-long lessons. Yeah, I'm gonna try and edit out a lot of like the blabberings, so it just gets to the point. I don't know. Okay, so this is it, guys. We're gonna learn about processing. This is it. All right. Hello everyone, welcome to day, I think, 8 of Java coding. We're finally here. This is it, guys. We're at processing. We can finally do it. We learned Java. You guys basically learned uh, the key core parts of all of Java. And when I say the key core parts, I mean all that's left for you guys is the little caveat, the caveats, the little extra details, extra little pieces of syntax you can use. Those you can still learn, and other than that, all you need to learn is a bunch of just random Java libraries that are commonly used. And I don't think that I find that very necessary. And I will show you the most necessary ones for what we'll be doing very soon. So let's get into it. Introduction to processing. Alright, we're past Java. Forget Java. Doesn't matter. We learned all that for nothing. Alright, I'm just kidding. Yes, processing is a wonderful GUI IDE. I will explain what that means. What is processing? Why the processing language is very similar, if not identical, to Java in a lot of ways. Now, because processing is similar to Java, we can use what we have learned in order to produce games, animations, applications, and many more using just our Java knowledge and a little bit more. Java actually has a way of producing these graphical user interface, these GUIs. I'll be calling them GUIs. It has a way of producing these GUIs on its own,